Hello there everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video. I thought I'd play around with some products from Simon Says Stamp that have been around for a little while, but I have wanted to pull out and try to make something with again. I've used some of these products already in the past, but there's some really good ones, and I love pulling out some of my favorites to make cards. So in today's video, I'm going to do some stencil layering, and I'm going to use some basic rectangle dies to create a frame, and it's going to make a focal point out of my background, but we're going to have a continuous look across the whole card. It's a fun technique. So in today's video, I'm using the layering flowers set. All the products that I'm using today are listed below in the video description if you're looking for them. They're also on my blog. And to help me work with these layering stencils, I'm going to use Simon's Stamp and Stencil mat to line up my paper, which goes into the teal box. This is an A2 size piece of paper. And then I'm going to line up my stencils inside of the black box. So these markings are perfect for A2 cards and 6x6 stencils. And the mat is sticky enough that it holds the stencils and the paper in place. You don't need any extra tape or some spray adhesive to hold the stencil down. This makes working with layering stencils so easy. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp detail blending brushes and their Pawsitively saturated inks in a wide range of colors. I wanted something super colorful, and by using the detail blending brushes, I'm able to color individual flowers and leaves with different colors of ink. If you were using larger blending brushes, you would have a hard time trying to keep the colors separate across these stencils. So after I finish layer 1, I'm going to peel that off. And now I'll bring in layer 2, and I'll just line this up right into that same 6x6 square box. And now I can come back in with more colors. And because I'm lining up the stencils inside of the same box over and over again, that's ensuring that the stencils are lining up exactly as they're supposed to make up your layered design. I love the fact that the detail blending brushes are making this project so easy. I'm using the round ones. There are flat detail blending brushes from Simon Says Stamp as well. I find that the round one works really well for just general stenciling. If you want to feather something, that's where the flat detail blending brushes come in really handy. So finally, my fourth layer just adds a few more details and a few leaves. So our background has come together beautifully. We have now all these fun different colors, and you could of course swap out some of these colors for things you like more. I just wanted something bright, cheery, and kind of a little bit more on the springy side of the color spectrum. Now that my stenciling is complete, I'll just remove that final stencil and then take the paper out of the stamp and stencil mat. Now I'm going to use a TIDEPOOL ink color and just very lightly add a little bit of ink around the outermost edges of my background. I don't want this to come all the way in. I want this to kind of more create a halo or a framing around the center portion, because the center portion of my background is going to be the main star of the card. And for this I did use a large blending brush from Simon Says Stamp. So after all our blending is complete, we're ready to do some die cutting, and I'm pulling out a Simon Says Stamp basic rectangle die. I've die cut this panel with that die, and now I have two pieces. Next, I'm going to adhere the frame portion of this piece, so the outermost areas. We're going to attach this onto an A2 top folding white card base. I just used some Simon Says Stamp dot runner to attach this down. So we have our first piece layered on. Now we need to die cut that middle portion. We're going to use a slightly smaller rectangle die and cut this out again with our die cut machine. I'm using very, very low tack tape from Simon to hold my dies in place. It's really gentle on paper. Okay, so now we have three pieces. This is going to help us create our continuous pattern but have a really cool focal point. On the small frame piece that was created from our second round of die cutting, we're going to apply foam tape. I'm using Simon foam tape and Simon Says Stamp scissors to trim the tape down so that it will fit nicely behind my frame, and we're just going to cover all four sides. Then we'll attach this down, nesting it right back into place and continuing that pattern that we have here. And you can easily line this up by making sure that it matches up with the outer frame. For the center portion, we're just going to adhere that straight down with some dot runner, just like we did for the outer frame, and now that's nested inside of the frame that we've popped up. It creates a really cool effect. It makes the background feel a little bit more special. To enhance things a little bit more, I did use a Jelly Roll white gel pen to add a few dots. This just breaks things up a little bit and adds some interest to that background. I die cut this MERCI die from Simon Says Stamp and CZ Design from white cardstock and also some pink glitter cardstock. I'm gluing that pink glitter piece and one of the white die cuts together to stack this up and make it just a little bit more dimensional, and this will get adhered to the shadow layer, which I also die cut from some white. This pink glitter paper pulls out the pink colors in our background and ties all that nicely together. I'm going to adhere my sentiment down onto my card with 2 layers of foam tape because I want it to be a slight bit more dimensional than the frame that is in the center of our card. So 2 layers of foam tape will give me just enough to have it a little bit more popped up. And then I'm going to pull in a sentiment strip from Simon Says Stamp and trim this down with my little mini Tim Holtz trimmer. And I like storing these sentiment strips in Simon's Pawsitively Everything storage pockets. They're perfect for A2 size products, and this helps keep the smaller sentiments that I've already cut apart together with the sheets. On the edges of this sentiment strip, I am going to trace it with a little bit of a black pen just to hide the white edges, and then I'll just glue this down onto my frame with a little bit of liquid glue. I just put some dots of adhesive on the frame itself and laid the sentiment there. And that's it! How pretty and colorful is this card? I love how the colors got softened on the edges from doing the ink blending with the teal color, and it allows the center to really pop. And by creating that die cut frame from our background, that really accentuates the middle portion of the card, drawing your eye in. I hope that this card was inspiring and that you'll try out this technique yourself. You could do this with any layering stencil set that you have, so I encourage you to dig through your stash and see what you've got to create a similar look. Thank you so much for watching this video. I can't wait to come back and share more with you. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for watching.